Hello, everybody. Welcome into another show. It is the Luke Boyd Show. I'm your host, Luke Boyd, here today. We got a lot to cover today because there were a lot of games that happened over the weekend and a lot of really close scores to cover from both the NBA and the NFL, so we'll get into that here shortly. But without any breakups or interruptions, we are going to get into it is 1 o'clock on the books, and as we will start out every single show, if you guys wouldn't mind, I also, just before we get into what I do for the show and stuff like that, just kind of a little bit of a preview. There's some big news coming out of the New York Giants. Also, if this show's being multicasted to everywhere, so if you aren't, on Rumble already, head on over to Rumble because that's the main, I guess, source, if you will, and kind of not. I'm like, I guess just. In a sense, I'm paying attention to all the other chats as much as I can, but in terms of, I kind of lean everybody towards Rumble because I know for a fact that one's going to be live because I'm also kind of using their, studio and stuff like that, so, just so that you guys are aware, and if you guys haven't been over to Rumble, you can head over to Rumble right now. You can download it on any of your favorite streaming devices, your phone, your tablet, your smart TVs, or anything like that. So head on over to Rumble, one-stop shop for not only myself, but so many famous and big-name streamers over there as well. So yeah, head on over there. Before we get into the rest of the show, if you guys wouldn't mind joining me in a prayer real quick, that would be fantastic. We'll get on with the rest of the show here momentarily. In the name of the Father, the Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Lord God, I'd like to thank you for beautiful Monday. I'd like to thank you for guiding each and every single one of us every single day. Thank you that the government is open again and people are getting the pay that they deserve, especially at the federal level for those essential workers that are at the federal level, including the air traffic controllers. I'd like to ask for guidance and for blessing upon every single person watching this show as they go throughout their day and as they go throughout this week. Like to ask for that and much more as we pray. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. In the Father, and the Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. Alright, really appreciate every single one of you guys for joining me in that. Here we go. We got a lot to cover today, so let me just get to this real quick. Let me just swap over real quick. And I think there was an Instagram, or maybe it was an X that can help me out. I think it was like NFL on Fox to get the final scores everywhere. Let me just do this real quick. Was it NFL? Yeah. Where's that post? Oh, or it must have been NFL on Fox or something. Sorry, chat. Or ladies and gentlemen, I will... Yes. Ooh, they even have power rankings? What? I'm sorry, I'm just seeing some of this for the first time. So, alright, so we're going to compare some of the scores. Because or at least we're going to do that at some point. But, anyhow, getting into some of the games from yesterday, I didn't entirely break down my record from yesterday, so I do apologize for not getting that all squared away here. I probably should have done that before I started, but oh well. But anyhow, we had some key games yesterday. The Colts and the Falcons played in Berlin. This one went down to the wire, and it should be, and honestly, there was a couple of things coming out of that game that, oh my goodness, I was watching the last few minutes of the fourth quarter and into overtime, and for a moment, it pans to, like, the view of Daniel Jones behind his offensive line at one point, and I see just a bunch of red around his mouth, and I'm like, wait a minute, is he just bleeding from the mouth, or am I just tripping? And because I had never seen like a close-up pan of a quarterback where his just entire mouth is just bloody. Like, it's nothing crazy, but like it was just odd, because oh my goodness, he got sacked 7 times and they still won the game. Oh my gosh. Oh man. But anyhow, yeah, this game was close all the way through, and such an interesting game to watch the rest of the way, especially since it was in Germany, number one, but number two, it went into overtime, so it was like, what more can you ask for out of a game, out of like the first game in Berlin? You can't really ask anything more of these players. Like, they just had a field day, kind of. Except for the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks were just not on par. But that kind of is kudos to both of the defenses. Like, granted, you don't really see that basically off of turnovers or anything like that, but sacked 7 times compared to sacked 3 times, but you also look at both of the completion to attempt ratios, and like both of them are like, yeah, well, Daniel Jones is a little over 500, and Penix Jr. is just a little under 50%. So I mean, it's I mean, you got Jonathan Taylor who went off, so that's a huge factor in terms of, I would say, why the Colts won this game, because his third touchdown came in overtime, and that's what sealed the deal. Wait. Yes. Yes. Because they ended up getting into field goal range, and they basically just ran the football a lot, from what I remember. Yeah, and then Jonathan Taylor scored that touchdown. Yes. Because I can even look at the play-by-play in overtime. Yeah. It was a Jonathan Taylor. No. Yes. Jonathan Taylor, right guard, 8 yards. That's right. That's right. See, I remember things. I think. Okay, but anyhow, getting back into this, I mean, yeah, it was. I mean, your biggest differential was in terms of rushing yards. The Indianapolis Colts ended the day with 323 rushing yards. Atlanta Falcons ended the day with only 140. So that's your key difference as to why Indianapolis was able to make this close. I mean, honestly, I still don't understand how it even was close going into. Well, it was probably closer than this heading into the fourth, so that's probably why the game was a lot closer than expected. Plus, an 8-point to 12-point spread in terms of points scored in the fourth. Indianapolis didn't even score any points in the second or third quarter, and they still ended up winning this game in overtime. That's crazy. Yeah, because it was 25-25 going into overtime. That's crazy. I was also watching it, and they had a couple of hiccups of how they finished the fourth quarter, and then getting into overtime, there were a few hiccups too, because I guess the referee thought the Indianapolis Colts on live television thought that they were the away team, and they ended up fixing some stuff during the commercial break. So I found that a little bit hilarious, but anyhow, oh my gosh, there were even, oh, hang on, maybe I'm wrong about the turnovers though. Oh, okay, there was a lot more statistics in that area than I thought. Okay. Oh, okay, so that's probably also why it was close, because the Colts ended up having 2 turnovers to, Falcons 1, but anyhow, your final score for the first game ever in Berlin, Germany, ends up being Colts 31, Falcons 25, and yeah, a whole lot of I mean, obviously your key guy coming out of this game has to be Jonathan Taylor, 32 carries, 244 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So, I mean, I would talk about Algier with those 2 touchdowns as well, with 11 carries and 57 yards. But, I mean, that's not as much of a... I mean, those 2 touchdowns still matter if you're worried about fantasy points and stuff like that, but when it comes to like big key contributions and stuff like that, I'm taking Jonathan Taylor in this game in terms of how, not only how well he played, but just in terms of bigger stats that kind of jump out at you. You know what I mean? But anyhow, it's the final in overtime in Berlin. We're going to be moving on to the Patriots and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, because not only did this game not only was this game close all the way through, uh, oh, Bucks are on the bottom, Patriots are on the top. Got it. Okay. But in my personal opinion, I think you kind of have to. And we'll probably talk a little bit more about the MVP conversation later this week. Probably Tuesday or Wednesday. But when it comes, obviously when it comes to the stat line coming out of this game, this game I knew was going to be close coming into the weekend, just because of what was kind of at stake during this. You got a 7-2 going against a 6-2, so like both of these teams were good. You got Baker Mayfield, who went 28 of 43 for 273 yards and 3 touchdowns with no interceptions. So that's crazy to think about. Not that rushing yards or passing yards solely matter all the way through, but when you get sacked twice, 2 times for 15 yards, and Drake May only gets sacked once, that's kind of a big deal. That's potentially 2 drives that could have been, could have had better success along the way. You know what I mean? Just taking this at face value, I wasn't able to watch the game in its entirety, but anyhow, and Baker Mayfield played well with over 50% in terms of completion percentage, so that's great for Baker Mayfield. But also, wow, the QBR rating was separated by only like 3 points. That's crazy. Yeah, I don't know if that's definitely MVP caliber, but I kind of digress a little bit because, from both players, it was a good matchup. Obviously the separation was by 5 points, so when you kind of look at this game in terms of the stat line, if you guys were able to watch it, kudos to you, because this was a good game to watch. But you look at Drake May's stat line, he was 16 of 31 for 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. And, as the season kind of continues on, there seems to be, and I think this happens kind of every single year and every single week, even in terms of the MVP conversation, as long as you're playing like a tougher opponent, there's going to be a lot more hype around certain players. And not to say that I don't agree with that I don't agree or disagree with the hype, but I think there's a lot of people that are missing the point of the MVP conversation, because like I kind of have been saying for the past couple of weeks, I do 100% think Drake May is now, like, I think Drake May is the front runner and kind of should be, because of the way that the New England Patriots have been playing all season. If we kind of take a look at their, granted, they've had a couple of close losses. I wouldn't say bad losses. They were early on in the season, so it's kind of really tough to say if they were, playing well or not playing well to start the season. But you take a look, they ended up beating the Bills, they ended up beating the Falcons and the Bucks, which some of you are probably like, they beat the Falcons, like the Falcons aren't really that good of a team. But what else can you really say about their schedule? it's not that they haven't been playing well, because I mean they've been crushing teams that they've been needing to crush. Like Panthers, they ended up going 42-13 against them. Dolphins 33-27 there. Like 31-13 against the Titans, 25-19 against the Saints. Like they've been crushing opponents that they need to like absolutely wallop. Um, and they've been doing that. So I mean, in terms of the season in its entirety and Drake May's kind of stat line, you like I've been kind of saying it for a couple of weeks that I think the MVP conversation is not between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes. But well, I kind of digress, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But the rest of the stat line from this game, Travion Henderson ended up let's see, he ended up going rushing 14 or having 14 carries for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. And he also, I thought, had a he must not have gotten a receiving touchdown, because or maybe it was Kyle Williams that I saw in a highlight. Or was it Diggs? I don't know. I thought I saw a highlight that had Travion Henderson going for a touchdown in this game. Or maybe it was a big gain. I don't know. But it says he only went one. He had only one reception for 3 yards. I must have been looking at the wrong jersey or something. Anyhow, but yeah, 14-10 was the final score going into half, and then the final score coming out of this game ends up being 28-23 as the Patriots get the win on the road in Tampa Bay. A couple of other key stats that just kind of jump out of the box score real quick. Egbuka ended the day with 6 receptions for 115 yards and 1 touchdown, and then Tez Johnson had 4 receptions for 42 yards and 2 touchdowns. K. Dotton also had a key contribution with 9 receptions and 82 yards. No touchdowns, but still, those 82 yards are pretty significant. Receiving yards only separated from both teams by like 3, and then rushing yards separated from both teams by 53? Yeah, 53. Doing quick maths in my head. And yeah, I think that's right. Anyhow, yeah, that was the final score in Tampa Bay. Alright, so we're moving on to a game that's got a couple of headlines coming out of, I wouldn't really say, I guess a quick turnaround, I should say, because final score ends up being the Chicago Bears end up winning the game, and it looks like the Giants that were winning at one point. It was 10-7 going into half, and then 17-3 going into the fourth. Jackson Dart didn't throw any touchdowns, but he also didn't throw any picks. He got sacked twice compared to Caleb Williams not getting sacked at all. Doing some quick look at the stat lines here. I mean, I don't think it's the fact that... What is it with this mathing? The math ain't mathing with this. Is it subtracting the 288? Oh, so that's probably what happened is they're subtracting the sack yards from the. Got it. Got it. So they subtracted the sack yards from. Okay. So, anyhow, the rest of the stat line from this game, you have Jackson Dart, who went 19 of 29 for 242 yards. Once again, didn't throw for a touchdown or an interception, but was sacked twice. Cale Williams went 20 of 36 for 220 yards and a touchdown. Oh, but also Russell Wilson got sacked twice, too. That's crazy. Anyhow, yeah, that's big time as to probably why the Bears ended up coming back and winning this game. Huge win, in my opinion, for the Bears, because they now move up to 6-3. Giants move down to 2-8, and with that moving down to 2-8, the key storyline coming out of that game, not even 20. Well, yes, not even 24 hours after the game is over, the New York, according to an article from ESPN headline, Giants fire Coach Daboll. Schoen remains as GM. The article reads, the New York Giants fired Coach Brian Daboll earlier today after the team blew another double-digit lead Sunday in Chicago. Quote from the co-owner, the past few seasons have been nothing short of disappointing, and we have not met our expectations for this franchise. Giants co-owners John Mara and Steve Tisch said Monday in a joint statement, we understand the frustrations of our fans, and we will work to deliver a significantly improved product. Assistant head coach and offensive coordinator Mike Kafka will serve as the Giants' interim coach. Kafka was a finalist for multiple head coaching jobs over the past 2 years. Schoen will remain the team's general manager and lead the search for the next head coach. We feel like Joe has assembled a good nucleus of talent, and we look forward to its development, Morrow said. Unfortunately, the results over the past 3 years have not been what any of us want. We take full responsibility for those results and look forward to the kind of success our fans expect. So, an unfortunate turn of events for the Giants coming out of yesterday. And kind of part of the article is kind of showing I guess records of other teams since Brian Daboll had started. But Brian Daboll's record with the Giants was 11-33, so not a good look for Daboll, obviously. No other changes to the coaching staff are being made at the moment, according to ESPN. Giants 2-8 have just won 2 of their first 10 games for the third straight year, and they are 11-33 since the start of the 2023 season. So, yeah, a little bit out of the blue. And I guess some people were surprised by it. I kind of saw a clip from the Pat McAfee show in terms of the way that they broke that news. That was kind of hilarious, the way that they broke that news. But excuse me. But anyhow, yeah, just that's huge. Yeah, even with him going 9-7-1 and winning Coach of the Year back in 2022 with the Giants, he's now done. Which, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think that a couple of years ago the Giants were a good team, but I mean, it turns out, either something's not going right or something's got to give, and that's kind of the unfortunate it's kind of the unfortunate uh, give and take of the business when it comes to sports and comes to football and stuff like that. I mean, for those of you that didn't see the final score, 24-20 is the final score in Chicago. But yeah, once again, just an unfortunate turn of events for the Giants, and hopefully they can potentially turn things around. But they got a rough schedule ahead of them, I think, in terms of trying to turn things around, because they got the Packers next Sunday, and then the Lions, and then the Patriots, and then the Commanders, and then Vikings, Raiders, and Cowboys to finish out the season. So I think probably they have a rough schedule to finish out the season. I mean, they do have the Raiders and the Cowboys as the last two, so that might be a little bit of a boost going into the off season for them. I'm not saying that their season is done completely, but with 8 losses, it's gonna be hard for them to try to make the playoffs and win a straight. I mean, because they're on a 4-game losing streak right now, so for them to even get like 3 straight wins, 4, maybe 5 straight wins in the next 5 weeks is gonna be tough, especially against the Packers and the Patriots, who are probably the toughest two that they'll probably face for the rest of the season. I'm not going to say that the Detroit Lions aren't tough, but in terms of comparing the other two teams, I mean, you obviously got the Patriots eyeing, playoffs already. Same with the Packers. I mean, with the Packers and Micah Parsons, you got, I mean, it's a tall task for what was his name? Kafka. It's going to be a tough ask for Kafka to come into this as an interim head coach and try to win a game against a Green Bay Packers team that is, I mean, we'll talk a little bit more about Eagles and Packers later, but the Packers are just, they're balling out. We're going to see what happens tonight, but I think the Packers are barely just going to squeak by the Eagles at home in Lambeau. I mean, especially in Lambeau, you got to win for your fans at home. Like, I mean, come on now, right? But anyhow, yeah, it's just just a tough road ahead of the Giants, I think, and I don't know 100% what the rest. Well, did that also mean that they're eliminated from playoff contention at this point, or have they not fully eliminated? Oh, strength of victory, strength of schedule. Is that as of? Okay. Okay, so they haven't totally ruled anybody out of playoffs as of yet. How the heck are the Jets? That's so weird. Okay, but anyhow, yeah, they haven't really ruled anybody out of playoffs as of yet, but in terms of the odds of the Giants making playoffs, they're at the bottom, so it'd be really rough to, I mean, we were already kind of looking at their remaining schedule. It's not looking pretty for them, but yeah, it's they're probably getting close to potentially being eliminated, but we'll see. Yeah, 24-20 your final in Chicago, and just some unfortunate news out of the Giants for sure. But later tonight, we got the Eagles and the Packers, as I was kind of saying earlier. Um, Obviously, this one's a toss up. I'm kind of leaning towards the home team in the Packers, as you kind of saw in this. I think my score is going to be really, really off, just because I think both of these defenses are probably what's going to be the difference in this game, um, especially with um, Micah Parsons leading the charge on the pass rush for the Green Bay Packers. Um, I mean, what can we what else can we really say about the Packers? They've just been, playing really well this season. You got Jordan Love, who I think is probably just barely on the outside looking in terms of the MVP conversation. He's up there for sure, um, but I don't think he kind of makes that top five as of yet. And maybe this game will kind of change my mind a little bit, but that kind of remains to be seen. Josh Jacobs has been playing well. Same with Christian Watson, Romeo Dobbs, which also looks like they have a potential wide receiver that's going to be questionable coming into this game. We'll see. We'll see how well he ends up playing. But I mean, with Tucker Kraft out with an ACL for the rest of the year, that's an unfortunate storyline for the Packers. But when you kind of look at the Eagles as well, I mean, both these defenses are doing pretty well. I mean, you got Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips, which wasn't he just traded from the Dolphins earlier this week? Was that what? Oh no, yeah, he was. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I wasn't incorrect when I thought about that. Okay. Yes. I mean, if the D if yeah, if this is going to be what I kind of think it is now, since I've had a little bit more thought into this, that score is definitely going to be wrong, because I think the defenses are going to show out and the offenses aren't going to really score as much. I mean, I would be really surprised if I actually end up getting the score correct tonight, because it's not out of this world that score could be correct, but with how good with the stars coming into this game from both defenses, in terms of Jalen Carter and Jalen Phillips and Micah Parsons, like I mean Xavier McKinney as well, but I mean you got. I mean, it's not to say that neither of these teams have stars on the offensive end as well, but it's just one of those. Um, it's one of those games where I think it is really going to come down to which defense is going to play much better, if you will, and force more turnovers, cause or either that or whichever offense finds a way to score the most, because it's gonna be interesting, for sure. But I think with what's at stake between both of these teams, it really is going to come down to, um, yeah, it's really just going to come down to which one of these defenses plays better, or which offenses finds a way to end up scoring more points than the other, which obviously at the end of the day is the you know end goal in terms of the score. But it is just one of those, and maybe based off of how many stars there are in the Eagles compared to the stars on the Packers, that might be the difference maker. But I mean, I'm not going to count out the Packers in Lambeau to not win in Lambeau. Like, I mean, it's not that they. I mean, what? I haven't. Yeah, I haven't really done any research, so maybe I'm just completely off in terms of what their home record. Well, they are 3-1 at home, so they have had a loss this season. But what has been their record all time? Packers all time record in Lambeau. .267 to 134 and 6 ties, 18-7 in playoffs. That's crazy. And that's just a regular season. So I mean, yes. So in hindsight, my mentality was kind of a little bit correct in terms of not counting out the Packers. But with this type of game, with what's at stake, I think this is going to be close. This may even be decided by, either either a field goal or, I don't know, maybe a touchdown in overtime to win it or something. I don't fully know. But I also don't. If it ends up in a tie, the Packers will have their second tie of this season, and yeah, I don't think it's ending in a tie. Yeah, no, one of these teams is coming out on top, and I would have to bet that it's probably going to be the Packers here. So, before we kind of move on into the NBA slate from yesterday and the previews for some of the NBA games into tonight, I am going to kind of break down some of the scores from yesterday and kind of see. Oh, I actually wasn't that far off. I was only off by 4 points on both teams in that game. Oh, no. All right, so let's see. So we got, so I missed it by 4 points both ways there. And then we got the Texans and the Jags score. Where is that? Oh, gosh, I really underestimated how many points were going to be scored in that game. 36 to 29, so I ended up losing the pick and the score on that one. So I was I'm 1 for 1 to start Sunday, and then the Bills and the Dolphins. Yeah, give me 1 and 2 there. My goodness, what happened? What happened to the Bills yesterday? My gosh, like what? Like, Josh Allen, what did you do? What did you do? I mean, you got sacked 3 times compared to Tagovailoa, getting not sacked at all. Like, what? Did the Dolphins defense just show up yesterday? Like, what the heck? I mean, 3 turnovers in time of possession was in your guys' favor. Like, what? You only scored 13 points. You even had a better third down efficiency. Like, what the heck? I'm baffled. I'm absolutely baffled because they got walloped. They got walloped. Like, the margin of error in terms of turnovers is 1. Same with first downs. Like, I mean, granted, 1 of 2 on fourth down efficiency, but 16 to 6 was your. Oh my gosh. I guess the defense of the Dolphins just made key stops on what could have been higher scoring drives for them and just made it so they couldn't do much else with it. That's insane. Granted, ladies and gentlemen, I hadn't really watched the whole. I hadn't watched the whole game, unfortunately, so I wasn't able to really. I mean, I didn't really entirely want to cover this either, but it was just. I'm still surprised by that score. Because you're 6-2 coming into the game against the Dolphins, who had been absolutely stagnant all season. Like, what the heck? Anyhow, other surprising scores that, I mean, in my personal opinion, I thought that both of these games between the Seahawks and the Cardinals and the Rams and the 49ers were going to be a lot closer than they are, or than they ended up being, I should say, because Seattle ended up crushing the Cardinals 44-22, and the Rams ended up crushing the 49ers 42-26. So, for in terms of what my predictions were coming into the weekend for both of these teams, that did not end up being the case in terms of a final score for both of those. And quite surprisingly, two of the same scores ended up coming out of the weekend, 44-22, as the Lions end up taking the win in DC. Like, such a crazy weekend. Nuts. Anyhow, so I ended up being wrong in terms of the score there, but I was right in terms of the picks. So, I mean, kind of an upside there. I was wrong there in terms of the pick because the Jets ended up winning. I, I'm, I'm shocked. I'm shocked, but well, actually, I probably shouldn't be. Both of them were bad teams, so it's like whoever comes out top is like, all right. I'll be surprised either way, I guess. Why did I do that? Why am I messing around with that? Anyhow, and then the Ravens and the Vikings. Did I get that pick correct? At least got that pick correct, but the score was oof. I overestimated how much points were going to be scored in that game. Oh my gosh. Yeah, alright, so once again, I need to kind of look a little bit deeper into how many points are going to be scored by both teams. I mean, it's kind of, as you can kind of see, I haven't really gotten a score correct at all except for week one. So I've had one score correct all season, and I mean, at least I'm over 500 in terms of getting the picks right. But let's see. Let's kind of break down a final here from yesterday in terms of a record, because the Panthers ended up losing that game, so that ends up being a loss there. So, and then the Chargers ended up winning that game 25-10. So let's see, 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, 5-2, 6-2, 6-3, 6-4, 6-5, 7-5. So for the weekend, I'm 8-5 right now. It is all because the Tex. Oh my gosh, I'm really mad at the Bills right now because like I thought soundly. I also forgot that it was I think the Dolphins and the Bills are an interdivision matchup too. I think. Yeah, they're an interdivision matchup too. So that's like, should have been a. Should have been a better day for the Bills yesterday, but it wasn't. playing woulda, shoulda, coulda games at this point. And yeah, so coming into tonight, my record for this weekend in terms of pick record is 8-5, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The rest I had in terms of pick wise correct, but didn't get. Yeah, so 8-5 coming into tonight. We got game 14 coming into tonight. But yeah, anyhow, before moving on into talking about the NBA for today, well, for today and yesterday, um, yes, I did go with the underdog in the Minnesota versus Jazz. But we'll get into a little bit more of this here in just a moment. Wanted to remind every single one of you guys that this is being multicasted to multiple different platforms, to X, to YouTube, to Twitch, to Kick, to audio version is going to be downloaded on Spotify shortly after the show gets done. So if you guys end up missing this and want to end up watching or listening to the audio version, it's going to be downloaded to Spotify. Just look up the Luke Boyd Show on all your favorite streaming platforms, or podcasts. I mean, in terms of the podcast, it's only on Spotify for right now. I'm going to try to either later on this week or next week try to figure out a way so I can have it be downloaded to any other podcast or any other places that podcasts can be downloaded to. That way I can say all your favorite podcasts, because right now it's just Spotify for right now. But anyhow, yeah, like all the other I guess systems, if you will, the only thing else that I have to say is if you aren't on Rumble and you're watching this live, I am kind of basically using the Rumble Studio. So if you head on over to Rumble, that's basically the one place that I know it's going to be like consistently up, because I don't really know if I'm going to, by sheer accident either violate something, or not that I'm going to in terms of like an advance notice, but there's a possibility without me knowing from some of these other platforms that I could get booted or something. So Rumble's your one-stop shop for not only myself but a whole plethora of big name streamers. You got Steven Crowder, you got Tim Cast, you got Vince, you got Russell Brand, got Doc Disrespect. You got a whole plethora of streamers and gamers over there. So if you head on over to Rumble, and you can even download the Rumble app, you can download the Rumble app on any of your favorite smart devices, your phone, your tablet, your smart TV, any of that other stuff like that. So yeah, that's that. And I think that part of the spiel is over. Man, there's not a lot of games that have been on ESPN so far this season. I think TNT got the bad end of the deal on this. Anyhow, got some key games going into tonight. We'll get into that here in just a little bit, especially in terms of my predictions and stuff like that. But key matchups coming out of yesterday in particular was the Celtics just barely squeaking by the Orlando Magic in Kia Center in Orlando. Couple of key guys that kind of jump out of the box score. You got your top scorer from The Celtics being Jaylen Brown, who after 34 minutes of play had 27 points, 5 boards, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block, 10 of 24 from the field, 6 of 7 from the charity stripe, 1 of 4 from 3. And next top guy ended up coming off the bench. Anthony Simmons had, after 23 minutes of play, had 25 points, 1 board, 3 assists, and nothing for the defensive stat line, but had 8 of 13 from the 8 of 13 from the field, 5 of 8 from 3, 4 of 4 from the charity stripe. So big night from Anthony. Excuse me, Anthony Simmons. Wow, I can't talk today. Wow. And then the next top scorer ended up being Derek White, who ended the night after 36 minutes of play with 21 points, 3 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals. Not a big accuracy night from the field, 7 of 18. And then 3 of 9 from 3-point land, and 4 of 6 from the charity stripe. So, a solid night across the board, just not a huge accuracy night, except from the charity stripe. So, other than that, nothing really crazy from the Boston Celtics. You kind of look at the stat line from the starters from the Orlando Magic. Top scorer ended up being Paolo Banchero, who after 35 minutes of play ended the night with 28 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, 9 of 16 for the field, and 10 of 10 from the charity stripe. So solid night from Banchero. And then Franz Wagner and Jalen Suggs both ended the night with 20 points. Franz Wagner almost had a double-double. Both of them almost ended up with a double-double, but almost is not having a double-double. But yeah, Franz Wagner ended the night with 20 points, 9 boards, 3 assists, 2 steals, 5 of 17 for the field. Yikes. And 9 of 10 from the charity stripe. So not a huge accuracy night, but he ended up contributing in other ways, even though the Orlando Magic fell short. And then Jalen Suggs also had a night of his own with 20 points, 8 boards, 4 assists, 3 steals, 6 of 8 from the field, 2 of 4 from 3, and 6 of 7 from the charity stripe. So a solid night from Suggs. And then a key guy coming off the bench for the Magic ended up being Tristan da Silva, who after 23 minutes of play had 12 points, 5 boards, 4 of 9 from the field, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, and 2 of 10, or not 2 of 10, 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So big night from Silva coming off the bench, but ultimately fell short by 4 points, and I think 57-53 was the score differential in the second half between the Celtics and the Magic. So pretty big night. Margin of error was very slim, as you can kind of see from the final score, as the Magic fall to 4-6, and the Boston Celtics move up to 5-6. I think I'm losing my voice a little bit. But 111-107 is the final in Orlando, as Boston takes the win. Excuse me. And then another key score coming out last night that before even making this prediction, I know I couldn't really post anything, or I didn't really have a chance to post anything in terms of in terms of anything outside of like predictions of who was gonna win. Um, I had a feeling in my head that this game was going to be close all the way through, just because of how well the both of these teams have been playing in the early going. Um, I mean, as you can kind of see going through the stat line, I mean the Pistons have just been playing not entirely lights out, but just been playing well. You got a couple of double doubles coming out of last night's game, with your top scorer from the Pistons being Cade Cunningham, who after 41 minutes of play ended the night with 26 points, 4 boards, 11 assists, 1 steal, 9 of 20 from the field, 7 of 9 from the charity stripe. So a huge night from Cade Cunningham as he notched up a double double. Wow, that would have been really embarrassing had I not been recording this. Anyhow, but another guy that also ended up notching up a double double ended up being Jalen Duren, who after 37 minutes of play ended the night with 21 points, 16 boards, 1 assist, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 8 of 11 from the field. Did not take a shot from 3, but ended up being 5 of 7 from the charity stripe. So he ended up having himself a huge night there, which is amazing. It's amazing to see what happens over the course of a few days from certain players. And then your top, I mean, almost everybody from the starting crew from the Pistons ended in double figures. Just Ronald Holland II was the only person not in double figures, but he was short by only basically one make. He would have gotten it. And he shot plenty of shots last night, just didn't make the mark. And frustration from the Raptors. Dang. Where's that Brandon Ingram that was having frustration? Anyhow, that's a weird highlight. That's a highlight from none of these teams that were playing from yesterday. Anyhow, I guess top scorer coming off the bench from the Pistons ended up being, I don't know how to say his first name, but LeVert. LeVert ended the night after 20 minutes of play with 14 points, 3 assists, 4 of 6 from the field, 4 of 5 from behind the arc, and 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So that was his big contribution, was his accuracy coming off the bench. So yeah, big night for the Pistons as they take the win. But kind of looking at the 76ers, I think I got this pick. Did I get this pick right or did I get this pick wrong? No, I got it right. I was kind of hedging my bets because I was like, okay, because I know that the 76ers have some really good players that have been playing well in Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe, but I kind of didn't think that was going to be enough to top Cade Cunningham and the crew, so for the Pistons. So that's kind of why I was leaning towards the Pistons. And they still have 3 more matchups to go for the rest of the season. But anyhow, going into the 76ers top scorers from yesterday, ended up being Tyrese Maxey, who after 38 minutes of play had 33 points, 4 boards, 7 assists, 2 steals, 10 of 26 from the field, 9 of 9 from the charity stripe, and 4 of 12 from behind the arc. So I would say a big night from Tyrese Maxey, just because scoring over 30 points is pretty tough over the course of, or just has been tough. Not recently for certain players, but just as a whole. let's see, because this was in Philadelphia, so this was in their home court. And then also a top scorer who actually ended up with a double double ended up being Andre Drummond, who after 35 minutes of play had 17 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 6 of 9 from the field, 2 of 4 from behind the arc, and 3 of 4 from the charity stripe. So a big night from Drummond as he notched up the double double. Stay. Yeah. And it looks like the starters for the Sixers, almost all of them had double figures as well. But, and you got a couple of key guys coming off the bench for them as well that were in double figures, and Jabari Walker and Quentin Grimes. But, yeah, I guess another top scorer who kind of tied one of the guys coming off the bench ended up being Kelly Oubre Jr., who after 36 minutes of play ended the night with 13 points, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 block, 5 of 13 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 2 of 2 from the charity stripe. So, I mean, he was able to contribute in other ways. So, I mean, I'm not going to say accuracy was the name of his game last night, because it really, that's not the true storyline here. But he was able to contribute in different ways to, even though the Sixers fell short last night. But even just a slight bigger accuracy night from Tyrese Maxey and Kelly Oubre Jr. could have been the difference in this game. And kind of was the difference in this game in terms of how well they were shooting accuracy-wise. But, I mean, can't really complain about Tyrese Maxey, though, because he ended up with way more points in the box score. But he also did shoot a lot more, too. So, yeah, just keep throwing it up. Eventually it's going to fall, right? But anyhow, top scorer coming off the bench ended up being Quentin Grimes for the Sixers, who, in terms of top scorer coming off the bench for the Sixers, ended up being Quentin Grimes, who after 30 minutes of play ended up with 13 points, 5 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal. Ooh, excuse me. Where was I in that stat line? 4 of 8 from the field, 2 of 5 from behind the arc, and 3 of 3 from the charity stripe. So, huge night from Quentin Grimes. Even though the Sixers fall to 6-4, Pistons move up to 8-2. Yeah. 57-44 was the score differential in the second half between both these teams, as the final score ends up being 111-108 in favor of the Pistons, coming out of the Xfinity Mobile Arena in Philadelphia. As the Pistons end up notching the win on the road and stay hot. We're going to get into... Let me get back into this real quick. We're going to get into the rest of my predictions for today. I'm just going to kind of do a quick breakdown, and then I'm going to kind of get into some of the reasons for some of the picks here in like key matchups and stuff like that. So just to start, To start, we got 3 games that kick off the day's lineup, but tip off at 4. Well, according to when I shot the screenshot, they might have changed. No, they have not. One of them is going to be on Peacock, though, and that's the Wizards and the Pistons, which, if they continue their hot streak from last night coming into this night, or coming into tonight, it's going to be, yeah, it's going to be kind of a big, it did get a little bit darker in my room, didn't it? It's alright. Well, it's kind of because the clouds are coming through, so it's not really the end of the universe. But anyhow, we got the Lakers and the Hornets. Lakers going into Charlotte, and as far as I'm aware, let me kind of take a look at the injuries real quick, because it seems like the Lakers at one point had a ton of injuries, but, well, there's potential for Austin Reeves to come back tonight, but as of right now, he's listed as probable. Maybe. I think I refreshed this page already, didn't I? Yeah, okay. Yeah, and it looks like we are roughly about 8 days away from LeBron James's potential debut, because over the weekend it looks like it was reported that LeBron James has been cleared for contact basketball activities, so looks like LeBron is working his way back into making, or is timeline wise on pace to make his debut at the end of the week this week. As we kind of get into the rest of the predictions here, I'm kind of predicting that, especially if, I mean, the Hornets haven't been playing too well to start the season, as far as I'm aware. Yeah, 3-6 to kind of, 3-6 to kind of start the season. So they haven't been playing too hot. The Lakers have been playing much hotter. You got the fact that the Lakers not only have Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic playing together, and I mean, it's not that Reeves is going to be playing tonight for sure, but I mean, if he does play tonight, that's going to boost the Lakers a ton in terms of how many points, or in terms of what exactly is going to be happening. I think with LaMelo Ball, as far as I'm aware, it's LaMelo Ball and the Hornets, right? But LaMelo Ball is out. You got Colin Sexton, you got Con Canopal, Miles Bridges, who's on day-to-day, and Kalkberger. I mean, you got a team that hasn't been playing too well, and there's injuries across the board, whereas you got a team that has injuries across the board but is playing well. I mean, that's why I kind of lean towards the Lakers on this one, because you also have Luka Doncic, who's been playing well with or without injury, so there's that. And then, I kind of won't get into much of a breakdown for this game, but yeah, I don't think this game is going to be much of a game to watch, just because of how well I think Doncic and Reeves, especially if Reeves plays tonight, I think Reese is gonna, I think he's been working into the season like he's got something to prove, and he's been kind of showing it in a lot of his stat lines for these first few games coming into the season, and may have been pushing it a little bit too much, which is why he's had the injury. But I kind of digress because I don't know the full story for sure, but there's potential. Um, and then kind of getting into some of these other games here, you got Detroit hosting the Wizards. Kind of like I said, I think they're going to continue. I think the Pistons are going to continue their hot streak coming into tonight. I think Cade Cunningham's going to have himself another good game. Um, so, um, yeah, I don't really think this is much of a key matchup either, just because of how well the Wizards have been playing, which they just haven't been playing well at all. Only one win in 10 games, so and I don't think that that's going to be changing anytime soon. There might be some like one-off games here and there for the Wizards where they end up finding a way to win, but I mean it's going to be a long season ahead for the Wizards for sure. So that's my pick in the Detroit Pistons. Also tipping off in that same window in terms of the four o'clock tip off window. Ends up being the Trailblazers and the Orlando Magic. This one, in my personal opinion, was a little bit of a harder decision to make in terms of which team to pick. Mainly because I think I've been kind of underestimating both of these teams going into the season with how well both of these teams. Well, I guess I wouldn't really say how well, but more or less when these teams are kind of going to pop off. Because obviously, with the Trailblazers, without Damian Lillard, I thought it was going to be a rough. I thought it was going to be a really rough season just in general for the Trailblazers, but they've ended up, at least for right now, they've at least seemed to try to kind of prove me a little bit wrong in terms of how well they would have played to this point. And I mean, with Orlando, I mean, you've got key stars on the Orlando Magic who can and should play well tonight, especially because I mean, we kind of discussed some of the big names from the Magic a little bit earlier, but you got Paulo Banchero, you got Jalen Suggs, you got Desmond Bain, Franz Wagner, and Wendell Carter Jr., which it looks like Jalen Suggs is the only player that's going to be out tonight for the Magic. Let me just kind of double check. I just passed it. And it looks like Wagner is also going to be out tonight, which may sway it a little bit towards the Trailblazers. I mean, I think I might end up getting that pick wrong just because of Jalen Suggs and Wagner not being able to play, but I could be wrong about that too, and, could be right in terms of my prediction, so we'll see. But it looks like both both Mortis, gosh dang it, I can't read or talk today. Both Moritz Wagner and Jalen Suggs are both out tonight with knee injuries, but their estimated return dates are 2 days away. So Wednesday is their approximate return to action, if you will. So I mean, and again, I think. Yeah, I think with this matchup, it may not with those injuries, it may not completely sway one way or the other. But I think with Scoot Henderson out, with Damian Lillard out, these other two guys, I'm not entirely sure. But I mean, Scoot Henderson is still ruled out with a hamstring injury, but he's estimated to return November 12th. I mean, it's not I think there's too many key guys out, in my opinion, for Portland that make me, I think personally, kind of move the needle towards the Magic, but I could be wrong, and we could see big nights coming out of Avidya. Um, we could see big nights coming out of Denny Avidya. We could see a big night coming out of Drew Holiday or Donovan Clingham. I mean, who knows what's gonna happen tonight? I am just kind of um, yeah, I just kind of went on a whim, and I feel like every time I kind of underestimate Orlando, they end up winning games, and same with Portland. So um, it's kind of hard to really identify, in my personal opinion, who's really gonna win between both of these teams, because I think also they kind of match up pretty well um, coming into tonight as well. And then moving on to what I think is probably going to be one of the games to watch that isn't going to be like on a national television. Um, Cavs going up against the Heat. Look to Bam Adebayo and Donovan Mitchell to kind of light up the score, um, the scorebooks, if you will. And kind of while we're at it, um, this I think this game is going to be close. I don't think that's in terms of the matchup predictor. I don't think that's going to be a huge. Um, I don't think it's as big as they're projecting. I think this is kind of a toss up because I think Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley and Jared Allen are going to probably play well for the Cavs. And then, I mean, oh no, is Bam Adebayo actually out? That's probably why. That's probably why it's bigger than I think it's going to be. Oh, he is out. Yeah, with a toe injury. No, I don't even know what toe injury you could have. I don't want to make it. I don't want to make it sound like it's a. I don't want to under. I don't want to undermine the type of injury that he could be having right now. But with the way that that looks, that just doesn't. I don't know. From an outside perspective, looking in on that injury, it just doesn't. I mean, I probably shouldn't be smiling. He's probably actually in pain. But oh my gosh, been ruled out for Monday's game against Cavs. Unfortunate. But I guess it looks like his return date's going to be Wednesday, so at least that's good. Um, and then you got Drew Smith for the Heat, who's probable tonight with a knee injury. But anyhow, but yeah, my personal opinion, this is a bigger matchup that isn't going to be televised. And I think with those injuries, though, I mean, you got Andrew Wiggins and Norman Powell. Khalil Ware is probably going to have himself a big rebound night for sure. Same with Davion Mitchell. You got the Mitchell brothers going up against each other. Let's go. Yeah, I don't really know what else to talk about at this point. I mean, you got to. I mean, yeah, I really think that the Cavs are going to win this game. I don't think it's going to be soundly, but it's going to be tipping off at 4:30. So, I mean, not that the time really makes that much of a difference in terms of predictions, but I mean, the key for me here is just looking at, head-to-head matchup, who's going to be playing. Not that I really take that into consideration, especially the matchup predict or especially the matchup predictor that ESPN Analytics has, but I don't. Um, I mean, because I try not to look at that when I do my predictions in the morning. I just kind of just go, okay, I'm looking at both of these teams at face value without looking at any injuries, without looking at any, um, without looking at anything crazy, especially the matchup predictor, because they could, you know, mentally in my mind kind of sway my decision making one or the other. I just kind of look at how both these teams have been playing in the early going, how well their stars have been playing, and go, okay, what what do I think is going to kind of potentially happen in this game, and um, what team is going to win um, coming out of the game that is later today. Granted, I also do the predictions very early in the morning, um, which I don't know if that's the smartest idea, but I mean, it's so far kind of been holding fruition. I'm over 500 still, so I haven't been wrong, but I haven't been right all the time either. So you know, we'll see what happens. I wonder how many I'm actually gonna get right tonight. We'll get to our underdog prediction here in a second. Um, but yeah, that's kind of one of the reasons, one of the biggest reasons in my mind why I kind of went with the Cavaliers in terms of winning this game was because I don't underestimate how well the Heat is going to play. I just more or less think that in terms of the head-to-head matchup, without looking at injuries and stuff like that, it's like, okay, my bet right now with who I think is going to play well, I think in terms of tonight, it's going to be the Cavs that are going to play a little bit better, and that is what's going to set that edge in terms of who's going to win and who's going to lose this game tonight. So that's why I ended up picking the Cavs over the Heat, and I kind of think that is what's going to happen in the Casa Center. I don't know if that's how you say that arena name or whatever, but yeah, that's my prediction coming into that game for tonight. Another key matchup from both teams that have been playing very, very well to start the season. And again, not looking at injuries, not looking at basically looking at what stars have had, or I'm kind of losing my train of thought. But anyhow, this next game that's tipping off at 5 o'clock in Chicago. You got the Bulls hosting the Spurs, and once again, I was not looking at injuries. I was not looking at the matchup predictor to try to, have my kind of prediction be swayed one way or the other. But as I kind of look at what the starters are going to be, it looks like there's no injuries to the starters from according to the depth chart here. But there's potential for Josh Giddey to be out tonight. Same with Kobe White, and it looks like Kobe White, they've already dedicated him to being out tonight. Unfortunately for the Bulls, yes. Patrick Williams and Josh Giddey for the Bulls. On day-to-day, you got Williams probable for tonight with a finger injury, and then Giddey's questionable tonight with a ankle injury. But I mean, again, um, this prediction was not looking at injuries. Um, right now, I'm gonna look at injuries because I don't think that's gonna sway my decision too much. But I mean, especially since you got Wembanyama playing tonight, and De'Aaron Fox and Stephon Castle for the Spurs. I mean, you got your entire starting lineup for the Spurs that don't have injuries and seem to be healthy to this point. Whereas for the Bulls, you got at least two starters potentially not going to be playing tonight in Josh Giddey and Kobe White. So that's kind of a key factor in my mind in terms of who's going to stick around. Or how this game's going to kind of play out. So this might unfortunately be the Bulls' fourth loss of the season tonight, but we'll see what happens. It is going to be in Chicago, in the United Center in Chicago, so that might kind of sway a little bit in favor of Chicago, but in terms of the needle of who's going to win, but I would still hedge my bets that Spurs are going to win tonight. I'm going to have probably a lot of fun trying to do some bets later today, maybe, but we'll see. Anyhow, but yeah, I think Wembanyama's going to have himself a good night. Looking good, brother. Hey, appreciate it, man. Shoot, I'm losing my train of thought. But I did kind of, since you popped in, I did want to let you know, good sir, that I did kind of do some adjustments. I mean, for real. Anyhow, what was I? Shoot. Oh, yes. Okay, so, I mean, I know I'm kind of doing some quick rundowns because I'm hopefully gonna not run out of time and be able to take some chat. Even though I kind of have already been looking at chat as I'm doing this. Anyhow, moving on into the later window, 5:30 p.m. tip off for Milwaukee going into Dallas. I would say Cooper Flag. Nice. Though, again, looking at face value with both of these teams, how well that both of these teams have been playing, the Dallas Mavericks have not been playing as well, but I think part of that has to do with the fact that AD has been injured a lot coming into this season. You got Kyrie Irving still out. Not that that's a big make or break. I think he's been out, if I remember correctly, he's still been out with a was it an ACL for Kyrie, or was it an Achilles? I can't remember off the top of my head. I want to say it was a I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry, but I want to say it was a Achilles. Surprise, AD is injured. Yeah, I mean, it really. I mean, at least his return date technically looks like it's supposed to be tonight, but he's questionable against the Bucks, and you got. Yeah, I mean, there's just been, for the Mavericks, just looking into this game alone, the reason why I kind of went with the Bucks was because, I mean, obviously looking at face value, not looking at um, not looking at injuries, not looking at anything too crazy. And I'm also thinking that Giannis is going to play for the Bucks tonight. I mean, in my personal opinion, I'd be willing to bet the Bucks are going to win tonight, just because on top of that, with the injuries for the Mavericks and how well that they've been playing without certain guys, and just in general, they just haven't been finding ways to win as much as one can expect. I mean, especially with Cooper Flag being top, um, your top pick coming out of the NBA draft and coming into this season, you would think that they would be playing a little bit better with him on the squad, but turns out, I mean, they're kind of bottom of the pack in the Western Conference right now, so um, that kind of sheds a little bit of light in terms of how much one player is going to make the difference. I mean, obviously, it's the first year for Cooper Flag, so maybe I'm kind of expecting a little too much out of the rookie, um, but we'll see what happens for the rest of the season. But um, I think in terms of this season in general, I'm not going to say that it's a wraps, but it's going to be one of those where we're going to kind of look and see for the rest of the season with the Dallas Mavericks how well one player in Cooper Flag is going to make a difference in terms of whether or not the Mavericks can even come close to making a playoff spot or not. But anyhow, in terms of the pick for today, um, I'm leaning towards the Bucks. Ended up winning tonight's game. We'll get a little bit. Yeah, I don't think we're gonna get into lineups and stuff like that tonight for that game because I don't know if that's gonna be close. But anyhow, you guys can hear me a little bit better, correct? It was I think it was a mic setting, by the way. For some reason, the default went to like my webcam uh, microphone, so that's probably why I was sounding a little bit uh, quiet. But anyhow, moving on into the later window, um, in terms of the 6 o'clock tip off from both. Um, yeah, two games tipping off at the 6 o'clock window. You got the Pelicans going into Phoenix. And again, just kind of looking at face value with how both of these teams have been playing in terms of what a head to head matchup would look like without looking at injuries or anything like that. Um, I would say I would say the Suns are going to win this matchup coming into tonight because I think Devin Booker is going to have himself a night. There's a couple other players off the top of my head that I want to say for the Suns are going to play well. Oh yes, that's right, because I was seeing a highlight of the Suns over the weekend where like Grayson Allen was finally playing better and not playing like he's, I don't know. Maybe I just had a little bit of bias just because I was seeing a lot of like the same, I guess, footage, if you will, of Grayson Allen not like actually playing basketball, if you will, just doing a bunch of um, I guess dumb stuff on the court. So I mean, I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit of bias there from me in terms of like why I'm a little bit surprised in terms of how well Grayson Allen played a couple of games ago. So I don't know. Maybe there's a little bit there. Um, I would say I think that's not entirely correct. I think KD is on the Rockets now. Um, overrated me balls out. I mean, 100%. Um, but um, yeah, in terms of a head-to-head matchup right now, um, I would go with the. I'm going with the Suns tonight. My underdog. I I would say my underdog pick. I kind of looked at the matchup predictor after I made this pick. Um, might be stacked with two instigators, if you ask me. uh, but anyhow, um, Minnesota going into Utah. Um, I'm picking the Jazz in this one because I think Lauri Markkanen of the Jazz is going to actually have one of his bigger nights tonight. Um, yeah, because they got Markkanen, Yusuf Nurkic, Mikhailuk, Keontae George, and Isaiah Collier, which I mean is a solid starting lineup in my opinion. Um, but again, when I kind of made these um, um, when I kind of made these predictions last night, I wasn't really looking into injuries and stuff like that. I mean, it looks like probably as to why the matchup predictor is okay. Yes, Anthony Edwards is back in. But yes, my uh, my bet, my bet, and I'm still sticking with it. I'm sticking with it because I'm not gonna try to on air try to change any of the predictions that I had from earlier and try to say, oh, yes, I was right. No, I'm sticking with my pick. I'm sticking with the Jazz. I think Markin is going to have himself a big night tonight, kind of like I was saying a little earlier. I think Mikhailuk and Nurkic are going to, help along the way. Same with their guys coming off the bench in Philip Waski and Walter Clayton Jr. Um, but also, they do have a tough matchup coming into tonight with Dante DiVincenzo and Anthony Edwards and Julius Randle. I mean, all the starters for the Timberwolves are not injured, it looks like, and seem to be healthy. So, um, yeah, that's probably going to be the biggest um, thing coming out of this game in terms of why my prediction is probably going to be wrong is the fact that all the starters for the Timberwolves are not only going to be playing, but they're not going to be. Um, but it seems like just looking at face value from their lineup standings or whatever, or depth depth chart, if you will, excuse me. Um, no injuries at all from there. And then final game tipping off at 7:30. Clippers and the Hawks. Um, how do I want to put this? This one was kind of tough because I didn't entirely. Because again, I wasn't looking at any injuries or stuff like that. So. And I'm just kind of looking at face value from both of these teams. Looking at starters, everybody healthy. What is going to be the. Who's going to win? Because as far as I recall from last week in terms of what I was covering, I want to say the Hawks still are going to be without Trae Young coming into tonight. Not that that really dictated my decision making, but I think regardless of whether he's in or not, I think the Clippers still have the upper hand. Um, I not looking at the matchup predictor or the injuries and stuff like that. Um, I would say, yeah, because Trae Young is still out, so I was correct in that decision. But you got Alexander Walker on day to day, Jalen Johnson. I mean, yeah, I'm still sticking with my pick in the Clippers because even though they haven't been playing well, you have Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal potentially both going to be out. I mean, I still expect kind of a big night from James Harden, and if it's Zubac, you got Brook Lopez as well. But in my personal opinion, I think Um, yeah, in terms of face value, head-to-head matchup with how well both of these teams have been playing or lack thereof, because both of these teams are kind of mid to bottom of the pack in terms of their conferences right now. It's also an um, inter league matchup. Yeah, I think that's how you say that, right? Interleague matchup. Um, but yeah, I think end of the day, I think I'm still sticking with my pick. I think the Clippers are going to win. I think this one's going to be a lot closer than a lot of people realize, um, because I think the with the specific stars being out for both of these teams coming into this game, um, there's going to be other people stepping up in both of these roles for both of these teams. So this game could be a lot closer than a lot of people realize. Um, but yeah, with that, I'm going to stick with that pick. This one's going to be on NBA TV, tipping off at 7:30 p.m. later today. Um, and yeah, I think with that, I think that's going to do it. I think I've covered what I needed to cover today. Let's see what we got in terms of chat. What do we got in terms of... Okay, so got a new notification there. Nothing from Kick, nothing from Twitch. Got called into work, but keep up the good work. Love the predictions. Hey, appreciate it, brother. Oh, what? You got even a little symbol right next to your name, brother. That's awesome, dude. Hey, have fun at work, man. Keep doing what you can. I mean, honestly, the Warriors, they've just been kind of having like an up and down. I mean, they're still in the playoff hunt basically as of right now, but I mean, it's horror. I mean, it's yeah, they have been kind of underperforming in certain games for sure. Um, cuz I mean, I kind of thought that they were going to beat the Kings, but they fell short against the Kings. I mean, they've at least beat no, they also lost to the Pacers too. So, I mean, I'm not going to say that there's, you know, a definite one way or the other in terms of which in terms of how the Warriors are going to kind of play out, but like um, yeah, it's just I mean, it's still early too. A lot of games still left to be played. Um, yeah, have fun at work and um, yeah, I'm about to kind of cut this off here pretty soon anyway. So I kind of ran through what I need to ran through for today. I think so. Um, but yeah, I don't think. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot else I need to really talk about today. I think we'll cover. Yeah, we'll cover top fives and bottom fives in terms of both leagues and both yeah, we'll cover yeah, tomorrow we're going to be covering top 5 in the NFL and the NBA, same with the bottom 5 for both NFL and NBA. We're probably going to be discussing some games heading into Veterans Day because you got a NBC Peacock doubleheader. Um, and speaking of the Warriors, they have a tough next matchup in the Thunder. So, sorry, Warriors fans that are in the chat, but I think I'm gonna probably already make my pick now and say I think the Thunder is probably gonna win that game. But I mean, I'm not gonna count the Warriors out necessarily, but I'm not gonna also say that they're, gonna win the game soundly in terms of the Warriors anyway, because they do have a tough matchup for sure. But speaking of, does that also mean that they're going to be NBA Cup group play? No. No, it is not. Okay. Which would make me believe that probably Friday, if we look at the schedule for this week, Friday's matchups. Can we look at the matchup in particular? Or do I have to try to figure out? Because I'm just trying to figure out if this Friday is NBA group play or not, because I can't really see it from this perspective at all. Which, I mean, without being able to look at it, without being able to look at it, I'm assuming that this upcoming Friday is also going to be group play. In terms of the NBA Cup, but who knows? Which, actually, speaking of that, do they have? We go back to the standings. Oh, here we go. There's the NBA Cup. Okay. So far, it looks like a lot of teams have only played like maybe one game of NBA group play. There's a couple that have played two. But outside of that, and each group has like 5 teams in that group. Yeah, the way that they do this is very, very interesting. I mean, at least they kind of change up the divisions a little bit, if you will, but I mean, they don't really call it divisions, they just call it groups, but anyhow, but I want to be willing to bet that this upcoming Friday is NBA Cup group play again as well, but again, I could be wrong. But yeah, with roughly 9 minutes left of the show, I kind of ran through all the things that I wanted to kind of run through, unless any of you guys have anything you want me to kind of discuss real quick. I think that is going to do it. So yeah, but before I let you guys go, I do want to remind you guys that this is a multicast, that this show is being multicasted to basically all your favorite streaming platforms, whether it be Twitch, Kick, YouTube, Rumble, X. It's on all of those right now. And basically, if you are kind of missing me, if you guys want to see more of me, and this show, and don't want to miss a beat of when I go live, head on down to that button wherever you're at. Hit that follow or subscribe button if you're on YouTube, um, and um, kind of share this. But also hit the like button if you like the content that I'm bringing to you guys on a day-to-day basis. Also, thank you to um, all of you guys that have been, kind of listening and giving me advice and um, some help in terms of how to kind of make this a little bit more engaging. So I hope that I've been, you know, kind of trying to make the right moves and the right decisions in terms of making it so that you guys are, you know, entertained, if you will. Um, and if you guys aren't on Rumble already, um, head on over to Rumble because that's the main, like, I guess the main studio, I guess if you will, that I'm kind of going off of, and um, from there, that's kind of how I've kind of been running stuff. So if you guys want to head over to Rumble, you can head on over there right now. You can download it on any of your devices, your phone, your tablet, your smart TVs, or whatever. And you get myself, you get Steven Crowder, you get Timcast, you get basically all the main streamers that are over there and gamers for that matter. Um, but yeah, if you hit that follow or subscribe button from wherever you're at right now, you won't be missing a beat in terms of when I go live. 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 to 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every single day. And before we go, I would like to, if you guys wouldn't mind, I would like to kind of send you guys off for the rest of your Monday with a prayer real quick. And I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the games coming into later today. And hope this was an entertaining and a different perspective on some of the games. So with that, let me just kind of just send you guys off, I guess. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Lord God, thank you for another right now, and I'd like to ask for your mercy and your blessings upon each and every single person watching. I'd like to ask that you guide each and every single person through their thoughts, their actions, and their interactions throughout the week. Um, I'd like to also ask that you continue to bless each and every single one of them throughout the day and throughout this week. And I'd like to ask the intercession of the Blessed Virgin Mary to also intercede and guide each and every single one of us throughout this week as we pray, Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Really appreciate every single one of you guys for watching. That is going to do it for this show. And for now, I'm going to have to say thank you so much for watching. I got to bounce, so I will see you guys tomorrow, same time. Thanks so much for joining me today.